And we welcome to more than just a podcast. He needs little introduction. It's West Ham fan and Olympic athlete Kriss Akabusi, MBE. Welcome, Kriss.
Hey, Sean, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. As a few results from West Ham that are not too good at the moment. We seem to be doing our normal muck it up at the end, but we'll talk about that later. Doing a little research on Wikipedia, which is always a dangerous thing. It says you won 4 gold medals in World and European Championships in your time, a silver medal in the 1984 Olympics, and 2 bronzes in the 1992 Olympics. Not bad, Kriss.
It was a lovely little tally. I was one of those very fortunate athletes that I did have a successful end to my career. A lot of athletes train so hard, but either there's a lack of talent, or there's an inability to compete on the day, or what often happens, there's just somebody who strides across the event like a colossus, and they don't make the medals at the end. So, I'm very grateful for my athletic career. Had a great time in the British relay team. Had a successful time as a hurdler as well. As I can look back with pride at my time representing the country.
Excellent, and yeah, you're fondly remembered, and let's hope we do really well in the London Olympics. I'm sure you'll have some part to play in it this year as well, with commentating or getting involved somehow. Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it. I've got a slot with the BBC Radio 5 Live, looking forward to that, and I'm actually going to be in the stadium to watch a young guy called Di Green. He's the current world champion for the 400-metre hurdles, and he's only 600 second outside my British record. So I've been a British record holder for the last 22 years, but I don't think it's going to last more than 52 weeks now. It's going to go down.
Anyway, not to dismiss your whole career, let's talk about West Ham. Because I know you're a big West Ham fan. So, again, doing my research, I understand you're born in West London, so maybe you should have been QPR, and you grew up in Enfield, so you should have been Spurs or
Stop swearing.
So how on earth did you, growing up in Enfield and living in West London, how on earth did you end up supporting West Ham?
Well, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, of course, in Enfield, there were 2 teams in Enfield. Most people were Dirty Spurs. The others were boring Arsenal. But when I was 11, and I went on holiday, went to Clacton, and I met a guy there. He's called Terry Fagg, and I remember it as if it was yesterday. Bonded into his caravan, having some fun, and his caravan was wall to wall claret and blue, absolutely plastered everywhere. And in the centre was the picture of the team of that year, and I saw, of course, there's Billy Bonds and Brookie, etc. But I saw Clyde Best and Eddie Coker. And up until that date, there were very, very few black guys competing in what was then the first division. And so straight away, that week, that took him to my heart. And Terry just didn't stop talking about West Ham. And of course, I remember when we won the World Cup in 1966, so that was still fresh in my memory. And so it was a no-brainer. And so I went back off my summer holidays, back to school, and I was claret and blue through and through.
Yeah, did you support a team before that, before then?
I fancied Liverpool, because Liverpool were sort of like Man U of their day. I mean, they were heads and shoulders above the rest. They were all in all the European nights. And so, like any young kid, you do a bit of glory hunting. But at that time, I wasn't really dedicated to Liverpool. It was just a school I'd look out for on a Monday, so I could talk in school with the rest of the boys about football. Yeah. But actually,
you've been a West Ham fan since, so
I've only ever really supported West Ham. I mean, I've only ever been to West Ham on a regular basis. I've had season ticket holder. I was season ticket holder in my early days, and then came back again in 2000.
Yeah. So also, I read, and I don't know if it's true, that you had a trial with Leyton Orient, and
Yeah, that was fantastic. And again, back in the day, that you played quarters, and we came up. There was a whole bunch of kids coming up to Leyton Orient, and Alan Ball was part and parcel of the deciding posse. And I remember back then I was playing left back, I was very quick left back, but I kept leaving the back space as well. So I managed to stay on for 3 quarters. I actually scored a goal in one of the quarters. I had a great little engine, but by the third quarter...
I bet you were very fast down the wing.
Yeah. But at the end, when they called all the boys together, it was quite clear that I wasn't in Alan Ball's plans, and so that was it. And I now realise, that I think I could have been a real good footballer, but I just was a little bit immature at that time.
Excellent. Well, the Lake Norrin's loss is the Olympics game for
Thank you.
For GB. Anyway, moving on. So, do you remember your first match at Upton Park? Do you know when that was and who it was against?
Oh, you know what? I was really young. I tell you a real confession. What used to happen is we used to come to the games. So we'd get there at the start, and everyone's crowding in. But if you waited for 20 minutes, the guys who man the turnstiles would leave the turnstiles, and you could climb over the wall into the North Bank. So I remember climbing into the wall loads of times, and I saw Liverpool play there. I remember seeing Kevin Keegan play down there, and again back then you were right on top of the pitch. I mean, everyone knows the chicken run was right on top of the pitch, but even on the North Bank, you could almost touch the opposing goalkeeper. So I saw loads of phenomenal. I saw a couple of European games down there as well. But I can't remember. I remember the first game. I'm going to swear now. The first game I ever saw was Spurs versus Ipswich, because I was in the children's home, and the uncles had a sort of like a few tickets, and they took a load of the kids down to see Spurs versus Ipswich. So that was my very first game that I saw. I can't remember the first game I saw at West Ham. I saw loads of them.
What was the one you remember? What games? I
remember Georgie Best. I remember George Best come down. George Best beat us something like 3-1. He went on 3 amazing runs and scored 3 brilliant goals. So I remember that one. There was a big European night that I remember. That must have been about 72, 73. A big European night I remember. But it's really. I was only a kid, and
all blurs, doesn't it?
Yeah, all blurs. I can't remember. They just blurred into one after the other. All I remember, I just remember feeling at home. Although it was a bit tough back in the day. They talk about kick racism out of sports, and I know it's a serious issue, but it was nothing compared to what we used to get back in the day. I would say West Ham, we had 2 black players on our pitch, but there was very few black players in the crowd, and so I used to get some abuse from my own fans, and those days are gone. It's football is so much better today. You can't. You can take your family. And of course, there are still things that go on that we don't like. But honestly, it's a completely different place to what it was when I was growing up.
Well, that's a good link to move to modern days. I read in The Sun at the beginning of this year, so it must be true, that your New Year's resolution was to go to more West Ham games. So are you keeping up your promise? And how many games do you get to?
Well, I'm a season ticket holder, so I go to all the home games, and I go to a few away games. I don't know if I said that. The year we went down, I think it was 2003. I went to so many away games because we were down, and I wanted to go to places like Stoke and all that sort of stuff. And I had a couple of friends. We went everywhere. We went up all over the place away, and it's really lovely when you go away, because there's a small little crowd. I must say small crowd, and it sort of like depends on the size of the opponents. 2,500 of you, and it's a real family atmosphere. And you see the same faces, and it's just great. And when you're in the Championship, or it was the Fizzy Pop League then, it was the Coca-Cola League then. West Ham, you've got as much chance of winning as you have of getting a draw. Whereas when we're in the Premiership, we went up to Blackburn, sort of get smashed 7-1, went to Charlton, sort of get smashed 4-2, went to Reading, sort of get smashed 6-0. When you're in the Premiership, you're getting smashed left, right and centre. But when you in the Fizzy Pop League, or the what's it now? The Nationwide, isn't it? Nationwide now. You know, when you're a West Ham fan, we're a big fish, and you go away and you got.
Want to beat you.
Yeah, everyone wants to beat you, but you know you're seeing great football, and you know what? They also jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to see West Ham win away. I mean, it's absolutely true. It is just brilliant when you're away, small little enclave, you're in their manor, and West Ham have won 2-1, 3-0, whatever it is. It's just, you're on a high all weekend. It's just fantastic. So, but this year, unfortunately, no, I've not been to as many games this year away as I did in 2003 when we went down, or the other one. Another year.
Yeah, well, I've been to 3 away games. I went to Southampton, which they got their stadium record, and we sang "You're Only Here for the West Ham." Went to Portsmouth away, and that was brilliant. And Reading away. Of course, Reading and Southampton once we lost. We won pretty much all the rest. But I do agree with you. I don't usually go away. I only usually go at home. But you know,
I went to the Southampton game. I went to the Southampton game, and. All right in the first half, but in the second half they came out a different team. We were battered in the second half, and we lost that one easily. I tell you what, I went to the Coventry game as well, and I tell you what, mate, we were lucky at Coventry. I tell you what, that first hour, they come out at us, and I don't know if it was Redmond. They had a little kid. He tormented us, and. Okay, the last third, our quality came through, and you can see we were better. They just ran their socks off, and they were just, they were chin strapped. But I tell you what, that first hour, mate, at times we couldn't watch. So we got away with that one against Coventry. Southampton.
I think we took 6,500, didn't we, for Coventry?
Yeah, it was massive. It was great. Massive support there. Massive support. I've been to a few. I'm trying to think. I've been to a few away, but only a handful to be fair. But I've been to all the home games. It's the home games where we seem to be having a real problem.
Yeah. Moving on to the next generation of Akabusi. Your daughters, I believe, do they get any choice of what team they support? Do they come along to you with any of the games?
Yeah, they've got and I've got a little boy as well. He's 4. Yeah, I've got a little boy. He's 4. He's West Ham. My youngest, my middle daughter now, she's 24. She's actually so much West Ham. She's actually moved. She now lives in Bow. She's moved. So she can be right next door to the ground. So she's down at Bow. Yeah, my children, they haven't got a choice. I mean, you know. Yeah. You know what I mean? The old man's passionate about West Ham, you know, and I see they try every now and again they try the old Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United. Forget that, kid. Forget that. We're West Ham. We're clever.
Does your boy come with you then? Does he?
Yeah. In fact, I tell you what. Last year when we was after the Premiership, and the very first game we played was Aston Villa away. Went up there with my little boy. We got bad. And I'll be the West Ham fan, fantastic. The West Ham looked at me and said, Akabusi, mate, get you done for child abuse. My little boy was up there, 3, watching West Ham getting bad. The boy said, that's child abuse. Yeah. But it was fantastic. No, you know.
I've got a boy of 5. He hasn't gone yet. I've taken my daughter, who's 8 now, and she wasn't too interested. She was more interested in the sweets. You know, sweets in the Green Street. Where you buy 2 for £1. Anywhere you like. She said, I said, what's the best thing of going to West Ham? And she said, sweet. So I need to work on her, and I'm waiting for the right time to take my son. Anyway, I know earlier this year you were the warm-up man and motivator. I know you're a motivational speaker now, and you were brought on the pitch, you know, to not replace Jeremy Nicholas. What experience was that like?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, no, not replacing. You know, we could play Jeremy, but to augment what he was doing. Never and again, the West Ham like to bring somebody else who is a recognisable supporter. It was my turn, and it was fantastic. I mean, it's just great to be down there. I remember. Must have been Pardew was West Ham manager again about 4 or 5 years ago, and I came down. I had to do something similar, and then the payoff was my daughter, who now lives down in East London. My daughter and I were able to go into the locker room and meet the players, and we were excited. She was excited, and she was a little girl there, and saw the players there. You know, Rio Coca was there, and all that stuff. Brilliant. Marlon Harewood, great. And then we're about to leave, and then Pardew said to me, Akabusi, is that all you got, mate? I thought you had more in your locker. He wanted to be given a team talk before they came out. It was West Ham nil. He said, Akabusi, I thought you had more in your locker, son. I said, mate, I'm not giving you team talk. Good luck to you. But yeah, this time round, it was really great. I went down there, did bits and bobs, and I had the opportunity to read out the team sheet. Oh, what a pleasure.
I've seen that on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic, mate. And, you know, to be the West Ham fans, I mean, they were, I mean, I'm on Twitter, they were just telling me, Akabusi, that was fantastic. Come on again, when you're going to do the, and I went, number one, and in goal, England's number one, Robert Green! And I picked up all the players. It was just brilliant. I think it was against Notts Forest, and we nearly lost to them, actually.
Yeah, I know. So, moving on a little bit, West Ham way. You know, we've recently been speaking to David Cross and Julian Dix and Stuart Slater, and we're speaking to David Cross and saying, you know, is there too much made of the West Ham way? And I know this is something you feel passionate about. Is it okay? Should we have attractive football at all costs, or is it okay to play ugly this season just to get the job done and get promoted? What's your views on that?
Well, I don't think you should play ugly at all costs. No. That's no. I mean, I think that there is a way, and I think there is a tradition, and I think that we can learn from history, and you know that it can become part and parcel of your DNA. And if you bring up people from the academy, you know, we've had some great players. Even recently, you know, when you think of your Ferdinands and your Lampards and your Joe Coles, Defoe's, we've had some great young kids come out of our academy, and it will be a shame to lose that. So no, I think that eventually we'll go back to our way. I do understand when the board say, look, what's really important is getting out of this league, and getting out of this league, you know, we've got to do it by hook or by crook. And so you play a pragmatic type of football. But that's only good if it's working. And I know that we're second in the league, even if it's only by goal difference. But for me, it's not working. It's not working. It's not working if the pragmatic way is the only way. You know, and it's not working if the pragmatic way means you're drawing against people like Doncaster and Nottingham Forest. It's not working. It's okay if the pragmatic way means you sweep aside your Forests and your Doncasters and your Watfords, and you have a little bit of a tussle against, you know Southampton, Brighton, and the other guys in the top half. That's fine, but if you're going to lose, I would much rather lose a flowing, attacking football down the channels, balls to feet, people twisting and turning, a little bit of flair, you know, your hard men in the middle, you know, your Bully Bond Thomps in the middle, you know, and your defenders defending. You know, I'd much rather lose watching good football, because ultimately, you know, I am a West Ham fan. And when I say I'm a West Ham fan, I've been brought up on great quality football. And also, as a West Ham fan, I've been brought up knowing we don't win much. I am happy winning an odd cup every 10 years. Because that's West Ham. You don't go to West Ham to see us be top of the league. You go to West Ham because we're going to be mid-table most of the time, flirt with relegation some of the time, win the odd cup. But you know what? It's great being at Upton Park when you beat Man U 4-0.
Yeah.
It's just great being at West Ham when you beat Spurs 3-2, or you stop them winning, you know, getting into the Champions League. It's just brilliant. It's great being there when you see West Ham play Ipswich, and it's a great ding dong, and we win 2. It's just great. So I just love it, you know, being a West Ham fan, because there are many, you know, sad moments, but they surprise you with joy.
Yeah. Well, so what we're going to do, is it going to be automatic promotion, or is it going to be typical West Ham where they build you up and knock you down at the last minute? You know, we haven't played that well. We found ourselves top and second for most of the time. We're now, Reading are coming up on the same points as us at the moment. We've drawn 4 games at home. We're unbeaten in 8. You know, are we going to do it the hard way and have to go through the playoffs, or do you think?
No, I do think that we'll go up automatically. I mean, for a variety of reasons. I think Southampton will falter. I think Reading will falter. It's one thing getting there. It's another thing staying there. And we have played absolute garbage football and are still there. And I still don't think we've kicked in yet. And what I think is going to happen, I mean, if I could have 5 minutes of our players, the one thing I would be saying to our players, they've got to start now visualising the rewards for success and not the penalty for failure. And if, I mean, I don't necessarily like Sam's way of football, but if he's going to start playing that football, our strikers have got to start seeing themselves getting balls that are going to come off of deflections, off of the bar, off of people's backsides, and they've got to see them struck them on target. It looks to me after time as if the ball, I know what's going to happen. I see it going down the right, I see it going down the left. The ball's hoofed into the centre, and it's going to come off somebody's head. But it looks every time as if our striker's surprised when it gets there. How many times have I seen a striker with the ball inside the box, and then he's hoofed it over the bar, he's smashing right back across the other side of the box. And I think it's about visualisation. World-class sportsmen, they visualise themselves in context. So, I'll be asking all the strikers, just visualise the ball comes off the bar, it hits someone's bum, it's to your feet, visualise making contact and into the net. And you've got to be seeing it in your night sleeps, you've got to see it in your morning when you wake up, you've got to see it in your training sessions, because guess what? It will happen. We could be miles ahead of this league, because one thing I will agree with Sam, we've had enough chances in all of our games that we've drawn to win by street. Yeah. But it just seems to be a surprise. So it's not nice football, but it's Sam's football. And all our strikers and striking midfielders have got to start seeing it. I mean, Nolan is not the most attractive football player. He's not the most skillful. But what you do see is that he gets himself into position and he sees it. He's the only player I think actually sees where the ball's going to go. Now, it might be because he's had 10 years with Sam. But, our players have got, if they start visualising, and I really mean if they start dreaming it.
We can get you in maybe, wherever we're with David Gold, and see if we can get you in for the final few games in the dressing room and give one of your motivational speeches.
Well, yeah, no, but to be fair, to be fair, it's not about motivation speaking and all that sort of stuff, because these are good football players. We might have a lot, but these are good football players. I don't want to go there to be the bigger I am, but I just think there's one thing I say to those guys. Guys, you've got to start visualising the rewards of success and not the fear of failure. Because I think the reason we can win away, because you know what, they've now started, West Ham have now started their own fable. They now believe that, the reason we win on the road is because the fans are not on our back and we feel free, we can express ourselves and we can score. But the reason we don't do it at home is because the fans are on our back. Well, of course, guess what? If that's what you visualise, that's what's going to happen. If you visualise that when we're at home, the fans are going to be on our back when we miss it, then guess what? You're going to miss it and the fans are going to be on your back. If you visualise that you don't want the ball because you're scared that someone's going to be blaming you, you're not going to want the ball. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that, look, world-class athletes change around their scenario by visualising what they want, not what they don't want. And it's as simple as that. We've got the opportunity, we're at the top of the league and we haven't played at our best. We've got enough talent. We've got enough people in there that can score. Jack Collison should be our midfield maestro. That boy's got 2 phenomenal feet. He's got great vision. He can twist, he can turn. But you know what? I'm sorry, Jack. I see Jack jumping out of tackles. And I know why. He's had a horrific injury as a young man. Well, if that's all he sees, 50-50 tackle, I'm going to get injured, that's all he sees. He's always going to play like a guy scared to get injured. Rather than see himself as a world-class player he could be. Jack Collison could be a world-class player. He doesn't see himself as a world-class player.
So moving on from that, 2 quick-fire questions before we move to the final question, which is, who's your personal choice for Ham of the Year, and which player has been the biggest disappointment on the pitch for you this season? Okay,
Ham of the Year is going to be it's between two players, I think. We've had 2 great centre-backs. We've had 2 great centre-backs. We've had Abdullah Faye and James Tompkins. I'm going to give it to James Tompkins because that kid has been immense this year. And, Zola brought him into our team and he was a bit shaky. Last year, ups and put all the weight on his shoulders, young man's shoulders. But this year he stepped up. He's a monster man.
Yeah, although Mark Noble seems to be getting a lot of votes and seems to be like red hot.
Noble. You've asked me for my player of the year. Tompkins is ahead of Noble, but Noble is absolutely done sterling performances. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Nolan's been sterling performances, but James Tompkins is just ahead of him as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So disappointment. Who's the player you thought that would do more and was disappointed this year? Oh gosh, this is always a sad or it's a difficult one. Oh dear me. It's a real tough one, really. Again, two players. It's out of three players. It's out of Carlton Cole.
Yeah.
Because Carlton Cole, I know, can score loads of goals.
Yeah.
But I think but it's tough. It's tough. I think he's been asked to do a very tough, hard role. Nolan scored lots of goals, but I don't know, something. He thinks, sorry mate, a little bit lazy or a little bit lethargic. Maybe if not lazy, a little bit lethargic. Yeah. And I thought that he's better than what he appears to be. And then I said Jack Clausen, because I saw Jack when he came on a couple of years ago. I thought, what a player, beautiful feet. So I don't know.
I'd agree with you on all three of those, and I would add Lansbury as well, which I know he's only on. Yeah,
see, Lansbury, mate, he hasn't been given a chance. Lansbury hasn't been given a chance, and I just, and I think all those players that I've mentioned, except for Nolan, I think because of the way we play, Sam plays, it's difficult. You've only got Cole, who's back to goal all the time. He ain't got a chance of scoring. Or when you got him out, what's he doing on the left wing or the right wing? I don't know what it's all about. So I think it might be the way that we play has stopped those guys playing very, very well. It's tough. I wouldn't like to name names, but it's out of those three for me.
Yeah. So the final question, and I always knew it'd be very difficult to keep it very concise with you, Kriss.
Sorry, mate.
So the big question, that's splitting the fans: stay at the Boleyn and redevelop the stand, or move to the brilliant new Stratford Olympic Stadium. Where do you sit on the big debate?
I'm into progress, mate. I'm into progress. In 1895, West Ham used to play at White Park. There was 5 men and his dog, and the old dockers were all around the edges. And you could spit on the player. Then when I joined the club, sort of 80 years later, we were at Upton Park, and you could chicken run. You could almost grab hold of someone's hair. It's changed. Time changed, and it's a lovely ground now. But if we go to the Olympic Park, we've got 50,000 seat stadium. In 30 years' time, it will be the home of West Ham, and no one will know the difference. It's just about changing perspectives. It's progress. If we really do want to have an opportunity one day to knock on the door of the top 6 and get into Europe, we're going to have to move.
And it doesn't bother you whether we'd be renting it instead of owning it now. I think we've got to make a bid by the 23rd of March. No, I think that we've got to move on.
Yeah, exactly. No, it doesn't matter. When you say you own it, what does it matter to me? Who does it matter whether you own it or not? It's about where you play. It's about what we call home. It's about history. It's about legacy. It's about opportunity. And I think that the legacy and opportunity at the Olympic Park is more so than what will be at Upton Park. And I say in 1895 we were at White City Park, or whatever it's called, with Dockers. It's changed. Times changes all the time. And so no, I don't hold on to the past. It's for reference, not for residence. You can't live in the past. You've got to look forward to your preferred future. And the preferred future is West Ham knocking on the door, top 6, and European nights once again.
Yeah, well, we all hope for that. Anyway, thanks for being a guest of More Than Just a Podcast. It's been a great pleasure. Really looking forward to Olympic year. Looking forward to listening to you on the radio. And let's hope we're back in the Premiership by the time the Olympic opening ceremony is, and where we belong. Hope to see you at Upton Park soon. Okay, sure. I'm sure we'll get there. I know there's going to be a few heart attacks going on, but I'm sure we'll get there, and I'm sure that our strikers will start striking. Excellent. All right. Thanks, Kriss. Bye. Bless you. Bye-bye.